The night was heavy with the scent of fried food and tired dreams. In a small corner of the city, where neon lights flickered above cracked sidewalks, a boy named Malik scrubbed dishes in the back of a greasy diner. The clattering of plates and the hiss of oil felt endless, but it was his only chance at survival. At just 16 years old, Malik already carried more responsibility than most men twice his age. His mother was sick, his father long gone, and every dollar he earned went to keep the electricity humming weekly in their cramped apartment. On this night, Malik had been saving something rare, something precious. A meal he had pieced together over 3 days of skipped breaks and leftover shifts. A simple plate of rice and chicken sat wrapped in foil in his backpack, waiting for him after work. To Malik, it wasn't just food, it was a prize, a small victory, the one thing that reminded him he could still treat himself with dignity in a world that seemed to take everything away. As his shift ended, Malik slipped out the back door into the cool night air. The city buzzed with late-night traffic and distant sirens, but he barely noticed. His stomach growled, a painful reminder of how long it had been since he last ate. He found a quiet spot near the old park bench across the street, ready to finally savor his hard-earned reward. But as he pulled out the foil, a sound caught his attention, soft voices trembling with need. Across the bench sat an elderly couple, their clothes frayed, their faces lined with exhaustion. The woman clutched her husband's arm as if steadying him, while he tried to comfort her despite his own weariness. Malik froze. He recognized the look in their eyes, the hollow hunger that gnawed not just at the body but at the soul. His hands tightened around the meal. For a moment he thought of pretending he hadn't seen them. After all, hadn't he suffered enough? Didn't he deserve this one moment of relief? But as the couple whispered to each other, Malik heard the word food. It was faint, fragile, but it was enough. His heart waged war with his hunger. The foil felt heavier now, as if weighed down by choice itself. And then, without another thought, Malik stood, walked over, and placed the meal gently into their hands. The woman's eyes filled with tears. The man tried to protest, but Malik smiled weakly and said, "Please, you need this more than I do." In that instant, hunger didn't matter. What mattered was humanity, the fragile thread that connects us all in moments of need. The couple hesitated, staring at the foil-wrapped plate as though it were some miraculous gift fallen from heaven. The woman's hands trembled as she peeled it open, releasing the warm scent of chicken and rice into the cool night air. She whispered a quiet thank you, her voice breaking as though gratitude itself hurt to speak. The man looked at Malik, his blue eyes sharp yet softened by surprise, as if he had not expected kindness from a stranger, let alone a hungry boy with nothing to spare. "Son," he began, his voice cracked with years of wear, "are you sure?" Malik nodded quickly, pretending he wasn't weak with hunger, pretending his stomach wasn't twisting in betrayal at his own sacrifice. "I'll be fine," he said softly, though deep down he wasn't sure if it was true. He watched them eat with the reverence of people who hadn't tasted a decent meal in days, every bite taken slowly, carefully, as though savoring not just the food but the dignity it brought back into their lives. For Malik, the moment stretched endlessly. He thought of his mother at home, coughing in her sleep, unaware that her son had just given away the meal he had saved for himself. He thought of how easy it would have been to keep walking, to guard what little he had left. But as he sat there, watching the couple regain some spark in their eyes, he felt something else instead, a quiet strength. Hunger still gnawed at him, but his spirit felt strangely full. Maybe, he thought, this is what my father never understood. That real strength isn't about holding on, it's about letting go. The old man wiped his mouth with the back of his sleeve, then reached into his pocket, fumbling for something. Malik expected nothing. After all, what could they possibly give? But the man only pulled out a torn photograph, its edges worn from years of being handled. He held it out. "This is my family," he whispered. Malik glanced down and saw the image of 2 children, smiling brightly next to a younger version of the couple before him. "You remind me of them," the man said softly. "The way you didn't hesitate." Malik didn't quite know what to say, so he simply nodded, handing the photo back with care. The couple finished the meal in silence, then clasped his hands in theirs before leaving slowly into the night. their frail bodies supported by one another. Malik returned home that evening with nothing but an empty stomach, and the faint warmth of their gratitude echoing inside him. He had no idea that the choice he made under the streetlight, on a cracked bench with nothing but foil and faith, was about to alter his life forever. Somewhere in the shadows, eyes had been watching, calculating, waiting for the right moment to reveal the truth. The next morning, Malik woke to the sound of his mother's coughing echoing through their apartment. The air smelled faintly of mildew, and the hum of the old refrigerator filled the silence between her gasps. He rose quietly, trying not to wake her, and poured a glass of water to soothe her throat. His stomach growled in protest. He hadn't eaten since the previous day, but he pushed the hunger aside as he always did. He dressed quickly in his faded shirt and worn sneakers, preparing for another long day at the diner. Life to Malik was a cycle of sacrifice, a constant negotiation between survival and dignity. What he didn't know was that the cycle was about to break. As he stepped outside, the morning sun painted the cracked pavement gold, making the old neighborhood seem almost beautiful for a moment. Malik pulled his backpack tighter across his shoulder, preparing to walk to work. But then the sharp purr of an engine broke the stillness. A sleek black car, a kind Malik had only seen in magazines, rolled slowly to a stop in front of his building. Its glossy surface reflected the rising sun like polished onyx. Malik froze, unsure whether to keep walking or wait. From behind the tinted windows, he couldn't see a thing. Then the back door opened with a soft click. Out stepped a tall man in a tailored suit, his presence commanding without a word. He was older, perhaps in his 50s, with skin that glowed with health and eyes that carried both weight and wisdom. Malik blinked, confused. People like this didn't belong on his street, not in front of crumbling apartments and flickering street lamps. The man carried a leather envelope in one hand and a paper bag in the other. He walked toward Malik with calm, deliberate steps. "Are you Malik Johnson?" the man asked, his voice deep but kind. Malik's heart stuttered. How did this stranger know his name? He hesitated, but finally nodded. "Yes, I'm Malik." The man's expression softened. "Good, I've been looking for you." He held out the paper bag. The aroma hit Malik immediately. Warm bread, roasted meat, the unmistakable scent of a real meal. His stomach twisted with longing, but his mind raced faster. Why are you giving this to me?" Malik asked, suspicion mingling with hunger. The man smiled faintly, as though Malik had asked a question with an answer far bigger than he could imagine. He didn't explain yet. Instead, he handed Malik the envelope and said, "This is from someone who saw what you did last night." Malik's breath caught. Someone had been watching. Someone knew. Malik's hands shook as he accepted the envelope, the thick paper heavy with mystery. He wanted to tear it open right there on the sidewalk, but the stranger's steady gaze held him still. "Go on," the man urged gently. "It's meant for you." Malik slid his finger beneath the seal and unfolded a crisp sheet of stationery. His eyes scanned the neat handwriting, his breath quickening with each word. "Dear Malik," it began, "you don't know me, but I know you. Last night, when you gave away your only meal, you proved something rare, that true kindness still exists, even in the hungriest of places. The couple you helped were not ordinary. They are my parents, and they were there for a reason." Malik froze, his eyes darting up to the man before him. Could it be true? The elderly couple, frail, desperate, were connected to this powerful figure? His hands trembled as he read on. "They were testing the world," the letter continued. "You see, I grew up in poverty, much like you. My parents wanted to remind me never to forget where I came from, and so they sometimes disguised themselves, looking for the good in others. You passed their test, not with wealth, not with status, but with compassion." Malik's throat tightened, his mind racing. He could still see the woman's tears, the man's piercing blue eyes, the gratitude that had seemed too deep for words. Now it all made sense. The letter ended with words that made Malik's heart pound. "Come with me. Let me show you how far kindness can take you." Malik looked up again, the morning sun blinding him as it bounced off the polished car. "Why me?" he whispered, barely trusting his voice. The man extended his hand, firm and steady. "Because in a world where most people look away, you chose to give. And that choice deserves more than hunger in return." Malik hesitated. He thought of his mother inside, coughing softly in the dark. He thought of the endless grind at the diner, the empty nights, the gnawing hunger, and then he thought of the couple, strangers, who had walked away with his only meal but left behind something greater. Slowly, Malik reached out and placed his hand in the man's. The grip was warm, confident, certain. Malik didn't know what awaited him, but for the first time in years, he felt the possibility of change pressing close. Like dawn breaking after the longest night, the car ride felt unreal. Like Malik had stepped out of his own life and into someone else's dream. The leather seats were soft beneath him, the city flashing by in streaks of light and shadow. His stomach still growled, but the bag of food rested on his lap, untouched. He couldn't bring himself to eat until he understood what was happening. The man sat across from him, watching quietly, giving Malik the space to process. Finally, Malik broke the silence. "Your parents, they were really out there, on that bench?" The man nodded. "Yes, my parents have never forgotten the nights they once spent hungry. They wanted to know if people still cared, if compassion had survived in a world so quick to judge. And you, Malik, you gave them their answer." Malik struggled to find words. He wasn't used to being noticed, let alone celebrated. Every day at the diner, he was invisible, just another boy in an apron, scrubbing dishes until his fingers ached. Yet here was a man whose very presence spoke of wealth and power, telling him that his smallest sacrifice had meant something. "I didn't do it for recognition," Malik said quietly. I couldn't walk away." The man smiled. "That's exactly why it matters." They drove into a different part of the city, where towering glass buildings replaced crumbling brick walls, and clean streets gleamed under the morning sun. Malik pressed his face to the window, wide-eyed, taking in a world he had never stepped foot in. Eventually, the car pulled up to a tall building crowned with the name Ellison Enterprises. The man stepped out, gesturing for Malik to follow. His knees wobbled as he obeyed, his sneakers squeaking against polished marble floors inside the lobby. Employees in sharp suits turned to stare. Some whispering, but the man waved them off. "This young man," he said firmly, "is my guest." Malik flushed, embarrassed by their eyes, but a spark of pride flickered in his chest. They entered a private office on the top floor. The city spread out like a glittering map below the windows. The man finally introduced himself. "My name is David Ellison. My parents you helped last night. They built this empire with me, and I believe you have something this world desperately needs." Malik sat stiffly, unsure what to say, his heart hammering. Ellison leaned forward. "You gave your meal when you had nothing. Imagine what you could give if you had everything." Malik's breath caught. It was the first time in his life someone suggested he was meant for more than survival. Malik stared at David Ellison, the words hanging in the air like a challenge and a promise all at once. He had spent his life believing survival was the best he could hope for, keeping the lights on, keeping his mother safe, keeping hunger just far enough away. But now someone was telling him he was capable of more, worthy of more. His throat felt dry, his hands restless against his knees. "I don't understand," Malik said. "Why me? I'm just nobody." David leaned back, eyes steady, voice calm. "Because greatness doesn't come from money or status, it comes from character. You proved that when you gave away what little you had. That choice revealed more about you than any resume or degree ever could." He pushed the envelope across the desk toward Malik. Inside was a check, enough money to cover his mother's treatments, and more. But beyond that, there was a handwritten invitation, a place in a mentorship program David had created, designed to help young people with potential but no opportunities. Malik's eyes blurred with tears. His world, so small, so heavy, suddenly stretched wider than he could comprehend. For the first time, hunger wasn't the loudest voice in his life. Hope was. He thought of the couple on the bench, of the meal he had given away, of the invisible thread that had pulled his life into theirs. Maybe kindness really did come back, not always immediately, but in ways more powerful than anyone could predict. That night, as Malik walked home, the city didn't look the same. The cracked sidewalks, the flickering street lamps, all of it seemed less like a cage and more like a beginning. He clutched the envelope against his chest, whispering to himself, "Kindness never goes unnoticed."